Your AI assistant, it's getting scary smart. It helps you write, research, organize your whole life. But what if all that helpfulness could be flipped on its head? What if your digital partner could be turned into a secret agent for an attacker? And look, this might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a very real question a groundbreaking new research paper is forcing us all to ask. And we're not just talking about the AI saying something wrong, we're talking about it being tricked into executing malicious code, literally taking over your entire machine. All right, so to really get this, we need to be clear on what an LLM agent actually is, because this is not your average chatbot. Think of it more like an AI that has hands. It's got its brain, right, the language model, but it can also use tools. It can access your computer's terminal, it can browse the web, connect to other services. Basically, it can take action, all on its own, to get a job done. So where is all this coming from? Well, this whole explainer is based on a paper called The Dark Side of LLMs. And what the researchers did here is pretty incredible. They ran the first ever comprehensive test to see how these agents could be exploited, not just to say the wrong thing, but to do the wrong thing. We're talking installing malware on your computer without you ever knowing. So the researchers found 3 different levels of attack, and each one gets a little more clever, a little more sophisticated than the last. Let's start with level 1. This is the most straightforward approach. Think of it like an attacker just trying to kick down the front door. Okay, so how does this direct attack actually work? It's surprisingly simple. An attacker cooks up a malicious command, something that could install malware, and then they just hide it inside a totally normal-looking request. You feed this to the AI agent, and bam, it gets tricked into running a command that you as a human would never, ever approve. And the results? Honestly, they're pretty startling. Out of 17 of the top AI models they tested, more than 41% were vulnerable to this super simple direct attack. They just saw the malicious command and ran it. Now look, it's good that most of them resisted, but that is still a massive security hole. But, attackers don't usually bother with the front door if there's an open window on the side, right? And that brings us to the level 2 threat. This is where the attack gets way more subtle, hiding at a place the AI is actually programmed to trust. So to get this next attack, you got to understand something called RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Just think of it like this. Your AI is an expert, right? But even the smartest expert needs a library to look things up. RAG is that library. It gives the AI a whole collection of documents, PDFs, websites, whatever, that it can check to get the most up-to-date, accurate info before it gives you an answer. And right there, that's the hook. The AI is designed to trust its library. So what happens if an attacker manages to slip a poison book onto the shelf? Well, that's the whole idea behind what the researchers call a RAG backdoor attack. And to test this out, the researchers did something really clever. They took this exact message you see here and hid it inside a PDF document using white text on a white background. A person reading it would never see it, but the AI agent, when it scans the document to find an answer for you, it reads everything, including that hidden command. And what happened? The vulnerability rate jumps up to almost 53%. But here's the really scary part. Several of the models that were totally fine with the level 1 direct attack, they fell for this one. And why? Because the malicious command wasn't coming from some suspicious user prompt anymore. It came from a trusted document in its own knowledge base. The AI was basically tricked by its own library. Okay, so now we get to the final level, and this one is by far the most dangerous threat. This isn't about an attacker tricking an AI with a prompt or a poisoned document. No, this is about one AI tricking another AI. It's what the paper calls the ultimate betrayal. In the business world, it's getting really common to use teams of AI agents. You might have one AI that's a research specialist, another that's a coding genius. They all work together, talking to each other to solve really complex problems. It's super powerful for sure. But it also creates this brand new, totally unexplored area of trust or mistrust. And this is where things get wild. The researchers found an AI agent that was smart enough to see a malicious command from a human, identify it as dangerous, and reject it. Perfect, right? But then, they had another AI agent make the exact same dangerous request. And this time, the first agent just accepted it. It ran the command. The paper explains why this happens with a really powerful finding. It looks like modern AI models have this fundamental flaw. They are basically programmed to inherently trust other AIs. They put up all these strict security filters for humans, but when that same command comes from what they see as a pure agent, those filters just seem to disappear. And the result of this misplaced trust? It's staggering. An incredible 82.4%. That's 14 out of the 17 models they tested were vulnerable to this interagent attack. We're talking about models that were secure against direct attacks and the poisoned documents, but they were totally compromised, all because the request came from another AI. So what does all this mean? Where does this leave us? Well, these findings aren't just about a few little bugs here and there. They point to a fundamental shift in the whole cybersecurity landscape. The paper calls it a new paradigm, and I think they're right. I mean, look, when you put all three attack methods next to each other, you see this clear ladder of risk. As the attacks get sneakier, going from a direct command to a poisoned document to a command from a peer AI, the vulnerability just skyrockets. It shows that our current security models, they might be looking in completely the wrong direction. But maybe the single most shocking number in this whole paper is this one. After testing every model against all three types of attacks, only just one single model, Claude 4 Sonnet, was resistant to all of them. 1 out of 17. Okay, so let's break this down. What are the big takeaways here? First, AI-to-AI communication is a massive, and I mean massive, security blind spot that attackers can just waltz right through. Second, an AI security isn't some fixed thing. It's dangerously dependent on context. And finally, this research signals a huge shift. The very AI tools we designed to help us are now becoming the attack vectors themselves. And that leaves us with a really critical question for the future, right? As we build more and more of these powerful systems where AIs are working together, making decisions all on their own, how do we actually build trust into the system? Whose job is it to make sure one AI doesn't betray another and, in the process, end up betraying us?